Hi, Warriors. Good turnaround Tuesday, everybody. Shalom, Kevin, Didier, Alexandra. How's everyone doing today? Okay, so I'm going to start off with the dollar. I had this little red line drawn after we had this lower right there. Hi, Amira. So check this out. Hello, Hugo. Pretty glaring divergence between these two lows here on the daily. Not saying that you want to go ahead and aggressively get long the dollar, but it might be a time to cover dollar shorts. Okay, because I think we could have a bounce from here. Of course, we need to get back over 94 for anything substantial to happen. I think what's really surprising, and it's not the euro, is euro oversold. Okay, and what's really surprising is the relative weakness in Aussie. Okay, so when you look at Aussie here compared to the rest of the board, even to Kiwi, I did we have that RBA meeting or that's coming up?
We did have it, yes. Good morning.
Okay, so you don't have the news risk. You look at this, and um, you know it looks like the opposite of dollar here on a different time frame on the daily. So Aussie's a weak sister if you want to fade dollar strength. Also, what happened yesterday, and it's something I could do now. I never used to be able to do it, but early in the session, and I was even asking Steve when we got back through 89.40 if he saw anything that looked like a turn to him. And I had to go to the doctor, so I had gotten out of the way. And then when I got back, I saw that it was going to close back underneath it. So actually, sold something 40 from the high. I would say earlier in my career, I would have said, "Oh, I missed it," but I didn't miss it. It was just, got out of the way, and then it started breaking down again. And to show that this is a key area, last night it went back there and checked it. I've taken partial profits, but this is a pretty negative day that we're having here, still rolling over. So, that was kind of like a shakeout move right here. But write this down. There's nothing wrong with selling a market or buying a market higher or lower on the day. 89.10. Okay. So then you're out. 89.10, we're underneath it. Anyway, pretty negative action. And, basically the lesson is don't think you missed it if you're getting a signal. If you have a signal, recommit. Okay. So, a little pleased with myself that I was able to do it. Normally I would have said, oh, I missed it because I got short in the hole around 25 and thought the next bounce at the breakdown would reject it. And it happened when I was having rapid eye movements last night. US dollar yen, I'm still negative. It came off this resistance area. I don't know if it's going to make another trip, but I look at this as a flagpole. Yeah, REM was a good band, and that we're developing maybe some type of flag. I'd say back under 105.60, new lows are coming. Measures to about 103, just this, measured move off the straight line move. I'll start getting out of the way if we start closing back above some of these moving averages here. 625 is what Blake had identified as a resistance area on the bias chart. So we'll see if it could, never got there. Let's see if it wants to take another trip there. Looking at gold and silver, silver looks like a new high is kind of a layup now. Here's your daily, where maybe a day away from this 29.86, so we're still a buck underneath it. Silver continues to outperform gold. Gold hasn't even taken out this high yet. So I'm not long, I'm not short, but the preferred short most likely will be, it's going to be interesting. I'd like to see silver make a new high. And then if gold isn't, fade gold then. So, I need reasons. We need contingencies to take trades, not just feeling bullish or bearish. So I wait for certain events and triggers to happen, and that would be what's going on there. Gold silver ratio, it might be making new lows here. It is. There's your daily. It is diverging on the daily. It's diverging on the 4-hour. So we're making new lows here. Shorter term stuff, the MO isn't quite right there. So maybe silver makes a new high, and that's when the gold silver ratio turns. Hope that helps you, Bill. Good morning, Monica. And even though, I was talking about VIX, and, VIX had a pretty good day yesterday, it still looks like it wants to come out of here. So, if you bought the dip, you have a little lead. I still think VIX is trying to tell us something here, even though the S&Ps are higher on the day. They're not taking much out of the VIX. Okay. And let's see what we have here. So that's it. Aussie's only up about 3 now. And, this has the best chance of a reversal day of all the pairs. And maybe Canada does. Finally got to the big round number at 130. Doesn't look great on the daily, but I certainly wouldn't be short Canada here. Still, I would say the dollar looks better RSI wise than Canada. So I'm going to bring Blake in here now. Not sure what the news was. Maybe there's progress on Brexit, but Euro still remains a preferred short and pound the preferred long because of this. Okay. And Aussie, Kiwi is starting to say Aussie's your preferred short over Kiwi. So this looks like a 3 to me. Could be a Tuesday reversal. I'm going to bring Blake in now and see what he's thinking. How are you, buddy?
I don't want to go.
You don't want to go.
I don't want to go. How you doing?
All right, buddy. How's your mic?
I don't know. Is the sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because it's again, it's a new mic, so I don't know how close, if it sounds good enough, if it's like it's not super close to me. So just wanted to make sure that it sounds good. Okay, good.
Yeah,
But,
you're loud and clear, bro.
Sansei says that the sound is excellent, so thank you very much. It's good to good to hear.
Yeah.
So and by the way, I may be with you guys throughout the next 50 minutes or so, because I'm not sure if Steve's going to be able to be here today. So let's go over. I guess before I do this, I want to go over like my thoughts intraday, where we're at, and kind of what I'm thinking at this moment. Obviously, the equity markets are continuing higher. I mean, the S&P is just consolidating above 3,500. And I think the dollar has gotten to that point at this time that as long as we stay up here above 3,500 in the S&P, the dollar is just going to stay weak. We have the euro that is broken above 119.60. There are some levels that look to be tested here above 120. And I think some pretty key resistance. But if you're expecting a lot of two-way action, I don't expect that. I don't expect that while the market is, we've been in this grinding cessation for the US dollar, or excuse me, for the stock market for so long. Now the dollar's in that I'm going to grind lower mode until something changes. I mean, and I guess the best way for me to explain it is I'm really not super interested in the dollar right now unless I see the S&P start to break down. And then that would trigger me to say, okay, well then if that happens, what are the dollars that are looking better? And that will obviously cover when we go through all the majors. I do think there are some dollars that are acting better. Dale was just talking about one, right, Coach? You were just talking about the dollar Canadian.
Yeah.
I mean, the dollar Canadian, I mean, yes, it is down, and it has moved lower from like the, especially when we finally, broke the 132 and, we traded below 131.50. It's finally broken lower. But if you look at, I'm going to pull it up a little differently here. Let's go to the euro dollar, and I'm going to pull up a kind of a fresh chart. This is a chart. Now it's fresh. And let me do this. Let me figure out how to do this. I want to make this. I want to make it a line chart. You know what? Actually, I think I can do it better. Let me do something really quick. I'm gonna put on the dollar. This is what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the dollar index, and let me see if I have another dollar index I can use. Let's use the end of day. Okay, this is good. And then we're just gonna look at the daily charts. Okay, so this is the dollar index. Now let's go ahead and add or compare euro dollar. Okay, that's going to come up as a line chart. All right, there's the euro, right? Let's compare a couple of these. Pound dollar. Okay, there's the pound. And let's pull up dollar Canadian. Okay, and I don't know if this is going to turn out as well as I want it to. I'd have to, I'd invert those. Maybe, you know what I'll do? Let me delete this. Compare Canadian US dollar. Let's do it that way. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what you can see here is that the Canadians actually playing a little bit of catch up here at the very end, but overall you can see the euro blasted higher, the cable blasted higher, and the dollar Canadian is playing a little catch up. I guess is the point I want to make is it hasn't quite moved as exaggerated as you'd see in some of these European currencies, but it has moved. I mean, it is, like I said, it's playing catch up, but overall, it's acted a little bit better. And I think the reason why I wanted to point that out, and let me delete all this really quick. The reason why I wanted to point that out is because there will be opportunities. The dollar will bounce. There are still some, believe it or not, there's still some dollar bulls out there. I think that the dollar is sitting on some pretty key support, as you guys know, when we go through analysis, but I don't fashion myself a dollar bull, but I think that, opportunity wise, we might get a dollar bounce soon. And so you just got to be aware of the risks of that. Okay, that the dollar could bounce, and so we just need to be, be on standby and be ready for that. So, what would it look like? Um, uh, what is it going to look like from a currency perspective, and what currencies are we going to be able to play? I think it's going to vary based on which currency pair we're dealing with. You've got currency pairs like let's say the cable's running right into some pretty key resistance. If you look at the weekly or the monthly charts, we're going right into a descending wedge resistance level. I do think this is pretty key, and you notice how it matches up with some horizontal resistance as well. So I think we're going to find some sort of resistance here. Will it be, will the dollar, when the dollar hits support or some of these pairs hit resistance, is that going to stop the dollar from going down? I don't know. I think that has more to do with, risk appetite. And if you're asking me, are stocks going to go straight up from where we're currently at? I think stocks are getting at risk at putting in a top soon. And if that does happen, that will put in a low for the dollar, at least near term. And so that's why I'm a little skeptical here, little skeptical about where, the dollar is going to go from current levels. I'm not bullish the dollar, but I'm definitely becoming a little less
Bearish.
a little less bearish, I guess, as I was just saying. What'd you say, Coach?
Bearish.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just kind of, I guess, I was, because I do want to tell you that I have been playing counter trend. Like, for example, yesterday I shorted the euro at 119.31. I think I closed it like 33 or something like that, and I bought the dollar Canadian at I want to say it was 130.50, right around here, and then I sold it at 130.42, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to play opportunistically counter trend, and if it doesn't work out, I just get out of it rather quickly and just move along. And because we're getting to those the place in the dollar, and you've heard me say this about other assets too, Dale. It's too strong to be bought, at least overnight. You know what I mean? You don't want to try to carry dollar longs overnight. So it's too weak to be too weak to be bought, but also it's too overextended to be, bought as well. So, or shorted, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is the dollar's gone a little too far. And so playing it in either direction becomes pretty risky at this point. So then you start looking for the divergent currencies. And, like I said, I'm pointing out some. Let me just, let me grab our bias chart so we can get through the analysis part of all these majors. And before I do this, I thought I'd ask Stelios. Hey Stel, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm well.
Good
How
morning.
am I sounding, by the way?
You sound great.
Wow.
You got a new microphone. You sound squeaky.
I got a new headset with a noise canceling microphone. There you go.
Oh my
Ooh,
God, you're
that's
so
nice.
clear. It cleared my ears up. I had a wax buildup, and now I could hear clearly.
So, I see a lot of people, they use, earbuds, doing like webinars or, because in today's world, when people are on Zoom calls and doing videos and, you end up watching a lot of them, at least I do, I'm like, I'll watch a video from, Tom Fitzpatrick from Citigroup, and he's wearing like ear pods, you know what I mean? Like earbuds for Apple earbuds. Or then, you look at, some people doing maybe a Zoom call or a meeting like us, we have different things we use. In the past, were you using just a simple headset?
Just plain earbuds.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you actually got a headset.
Yes, I do.
It's amazing how
Let's see a picture.
Wait, hold on.
Go on,
Hold
Phil.
on. Where is the video?
Put the video
Start
on.
video. Here we go.
Look at that
There you
guy.
go.
Look at
Hello,
you.
everybody.
You look like a disc jockey now, man.
Yeah, baby.
You do. That's great. Okay. So what I guess what I was saying is it's funny in today's world, everybody's like kind of upgrading a little bit. I did, but I have to say that my microphone was a gift for my birthday. So
Nice.
did I
Yeah,
really?
You can't not use it.
No, I am forced to use it. No, I was perfectly happy with my headphone that I had that sat on my head. Now I have to use this microphone, which is great because it doesn't mess up my hair.
I don't have any, so I don't.
I guess you don't have to worry about that. Okay.
Boy, what a setup that was.
Yeah. So let's get in the charts and let's talk about the euro, where it's at. And I'm going to assume today that Steve is not going to be on with us. So I think that's correct. That's a correct
I think so too.
Right? Okay, so Stelios, don't worry. I'm going to give you some time to speak here in a moment. Let me go over some of these charts. So the euro, we were looking at the euro as the possible head and shoulder pattern. Like I said, I don't know if I told you guys yesterday or I told the people on the daily roundup, or maybe even over the week ahead video. I can't remember who, and I think I said it yesterday too, is that too many people were expecting a head and shoulder pattern here. I thought that it just seemed likely that we're going to break higher. And even in the analysis on Forex Analytics, if you go back to the 31st, the euro dollar is challenging the 78% retracement once again at the 119 level. If the euro is to develop a head and shoulders pattern, we would be hold around here, but chances are we could break higher with the S&P above the 3,500 level, as the risk of the weaker US dollar exists with stock strong. And that was analysis that was posted yesterday morning on the euro, and the euro is continuing higher. The question is how far we're going to go. And I have to point out a couple of things. First of all, we have the 127% extension of this last move lower. It comes in at 120.24. So I'm going to write that down. 120.24. It is bullish. Sorry. But the real resistance that I care most about at this moment is the post-COVID pandemic move, the lockdown move. So the 161% extension of that move comes in at 120, basically 120.50. So I think that's ultimately where we're going to go this week, if not higher. But what are the things that was pointed out to me by another analyst today? Well, that I was reading, not pointed out to me specifically. I was reading that we just went through end of month flows that persisted from Friday to yesterday as well. We might get some mean reversion the next couple of days in the dollar, which would make sense. So the question is, if that does happen, how far do we go before we mean revert? And we're near 120, and the highs today are 119.97. I have to assume there's a lot of barriers around the 120 level that are going to be targeted, whether the people that are playing on the long side, or people are playing on the they're just trying to cap it ahead of options expiry. There's going to be a lot of push and pull around the 120 level. I think the trick is if we get above 120, we'll test that 120.25, maybe 120.50. And if you're thinking counter trend, that's probably the place to do it. If we can get above 120, that we may just stall ahead of 120 and never make it above it as well. I mean, technically we have this, this upward sloping trend line here that we're just kind of, skating across, and maybe this does end up capping the rally. For now, though, any move from current levels down to, and I start looking at some of these, highs that we could not make it above, which would be right here. This comes in at 119.20. So I expect that any dip towards 119.20 may offer some support. For those of you that are, if you're like, oh, okay, I want to be on the long side, I think between there and here would offer some support for long. So if you're like, okay, I just want to be long, then maybe down here might be a better way to do it, is what I'm thinking. And really that's just keeping that's just keeping with the S&P firmly trading on the bullish side, then these dips should be bought. But if the S&P starts to roll over a little bit, then it might be a different story. All right, so let's go over to the cable. The cable continues to blast higher. We are moving. And it's, the pound actually looks really good against some crosses too. You should, and this has shown up in the euro pound, and I'm going to go back to the pound dollar, but the euro sterling right here, we rolled over from this breakdown point, last week. So it shouldn't be too surprising that the sterling is acting better right now. So it is. Problem is that we're coming up to a big weekly resistance, and if you look at the highs here, which come in at 135.14, the resistance here is 135.50. So I'm going to write down two levels: 135.15, 135.50, and that's going to be a very important resistance as we approach it, because that's a big weekly wedge, level. All right, support. I'm going to actually have to write yesterday's lows, I believe, because yesterday's lows is basically 133. This is 132.70. So I would say while we're above 133, there's absolutely no reason to be bearish. Okay. All right, let's go over to the Aussie. So the RBA, they basically, from what I read regarding the Aussie dollar, it's not like a lot of new developments happened last night. I think the RBA did note that the US dollar weakness and higher commodity prices has led the Aussie higher. So, I guess they're kind of blaming, they're not blaming they're blaming just the Aussie strength on dollar weakness, generally speaking, which also signals to me that they're not entirely worried about the Aussie where it's currently at. But I'm surprised that the Aussie didn't have any upside follow through as a result. But regardless, the Aussie dollar, you'll see that the relative strength intraday is starting to roll over. And if you're long Aussies, you got to be a little careful with that. I think while we're above this previous channel resistance, this is what Dale would call a throwover. But while we're above here, there's no real reason to be bearish. And I think you can argue probably while we're above there, which is 72.75. So I'll go ahead and write down both of those levels currently for support. 73, I think it's 73.15, but and then 0.7275, and it's bullish. Resistance, probably you can see how we can't even get an hour or a 4-hour close of back above 74 cents. So I would say 74 cents is pretty important. Okay. Kiwi. Previous range extension, 127% extension, divergent relative strength. Support now is at 67.10, resistance at 67.75. Okay. Dollar Canadian. So dollar Canadian, as I explained to you guys, I think is acting a little bit better. It is playing some catch up.
Yeah.
But did we just have data? Hold on.
No, there was nothing.
Okay, no.
Nothing. Now
But
we have some
Canada
data.
is coming out of the hole on shorter TFs, Blake. So,
Yeah, I think it is, but this is also this channel support that we've been monitoring for a while, and so yeah, you got to be a little careful when you're down at these supports. Now, does that change it being out of a downtrend? No, because in my opinion, we have to get all the way back above 132 to really disrupt the downtrend. But I think there's a risk that we could get a bounce here to here, which is
Yeah.
30.50, maybe even a little higher than that. I mean, we might actually make it back up to 131, but let's write down, 130.50. Oh, what I should do is do support is going to be 129.95. So 130 is basically support. 130.50, 131, some resistance levels in the event that we get a little bit of a bounce. Now, one of the currencies that are acting really good is the dollar Swiss. You'll notice the dollar Swiss is at its highs of the day. We were talking in the chat room about the Swissy really doing its own thing. And if you looked at the daily candle yesterday, we actually had a false breakdown. We respected that support. We had a long lower shadow doji, which is kind of signaling that we might get a bounce here. And then if you look at the euro, Swiss, we bounced off some pretty key support. So, and as I was telling the guys and gals in the chat room earlier this morning, it doesn't surprise me that the euro Swiss is higher. It should be higher in this environment, right? But what we should find is resistance at 91 cents if we make it all the way up there. So we're at 90.80, which is the breakdown point. And if you read the analysis from this morning, the Swissy is the one US dollar pair really bucking the trend as we failed to hit a new hourly low, and now it's bouncing towards the 90.80 breakout point. So as you can see, we were at 90.55 this morning. Now we're at 90. We went all the way to 90.77. So we're basically, challenging the breakdown point. But 91 cents is the big resistance now. Okay. Oops. And I'm going to keep it in bearish territory, but we are starting to risk a little bit of a reversal. So especially that we hit a new low and couldn't hold it. So 90 cents is support. Oops. Okay. Dollar yen. Dollar yen is kind of a disaster here. I mean, you guys know I'm not a big fan of the dollar yen at current levels, but the Abe basically resigning, and depending on who gets put in as a prime minister is going to influence the yen a lot. So we're kind of messy right now, and I would think that any move back up to 106.25, which is a 618 retracement, also previous channel resistance, that's going to probably stick. Support being 105.10, and I don't think there's a lot to do with that. And you might look at, oops, that's not what I wanted. You might have said, hey, Blake, well, the dollar yen is not, is diverging away from the other dollar pairs. And it is, but the dollar yen always does. It's, I kind of treat it like its own animal. The dollar yen, that is. Okay, let me grab, let's do the dollar index here. Here's the dollar index. And by the way, Stelios and Dale, I should be wrapping up in about 5 minutes on my analysis. If there's any questions that have come in, maybe we can address those
Sure.
that you guys might see. So with the dollar index, though I guess what I need to point out is we're at pretty important multi-year trend line support, which would be, if you take the actual spike lows here. Okay.
Excuse me.
Next support for the dollar, next significant support is going to be 91.30. I don't think we're going down there this week, but I should say today. Okay, but we should note it, and it's bearish. And resistance for the dollar index now is going to be any move back up to 92.50. Right, 92.50. I would expect there's some sellers up there. So, all right, dollar Mexican peso continues to bleed lower. And this has been a difficult currency. It failed yesterday, rallied back to the breakdown point, and then, kind of exceeded a little bit, and then obviously rolled over this morning. Next support is going to be 21.67. And it looks bearish while we're below, I'm going to say while we're below here, which is yesterday's highs. Let's just go 92 or 21.95. Put a couple zeros behind that. US dollar Norwegian krona. US dollar Norwegian krona actually is nearing some pretty good support down here. The 161% extension of this move will be 8. Oops, didn't even do that. 862, but we're getting a decent bounce here, so we should have resistance at 875. So 862, 875. Oops. Oh, my microphone just came undone, so excuse me 1 second. Hopefully that holds. That's not going to hold. Sorry guys, I'm trying to clamp down my microphone. It's really I don't have a problem with my microphone. I have a problem with my it's the sway bar on it and the way it clamps down onto my desk and the way my desk is built. It's not built for the clamp. I think I mentioned this yesterday. Do you guys do much woodworking, Stelios, Dale?
None whatsoever.
Yeah,
None,
I think
huh?
I had a wood burning set when I was about 8. That thing that heats up.
Okay, so I'm gonna basically have to pull my jigsaw out, and I'm gonna have to crawl under my desk and do a little bit of woodwork, which is exactly what I'm gonna probably be doing at the end of this week.
Used to tape up my hockey stick that was made partially of wood.
Oh, so sad, so sad. The skills of men gone in the ether forever. Jeez.
Yeah, I didn't take auto shop. So.
Oh, geez. So we have this big, we had this big, we had it for, my wife and I have had it for maybe 18 years. This big dining room set. It was like this big, heavy wood dining room set, right? We bought it 15, 18 years ago or something. It had these big, heavy wood chairs that we got rid of over the years. But we kept the table because you put the leaves in and it could have we could put 12 people around that table, maybe even more. Actually, I think we've probably done more with kids, and it's great. But what we ended up doing is throwing it out in our backyard, and it's used as our backyard kind of farmhouse table outside. A couple of years back, I sanded that thing down and restained it, and boy, that was a disaster mess. Oh my gosh, it was such a mess. But see, you guys got to be able to figure out how to do that stuff. You ain't got to.
Forex Gal says the Y chromosome is going to disappear. Is that the mail?
Might. It may. It may. 30. Okay, so we're at the 78% retracement in the S&P. I do think that 35.50 is huge. So we're going to write down 35.25, 35.25, then 35.50 is big resistance. It's the megaphone. It's still bullish, and it's bullish while we're above 34.85. So 34.85. And last but not least, we can go into gold. And Steve made me do this, and I'm not 100% convinced with what he made me do last week. He didn't make me do it. He didn't make me do anything. But what I did have drawn out last week, if you guys don't recall, I had the triangle drawn like this because I think we're in a symmetrical triangle. But I was imagining that we're going to get up towards 2000 and then turn, right? And then he's like, well, like if you connect this high, this low, his side, it's not symmetrical. It's, and yeah, it did. It broke out, right? But I think that we will.
They're both probably valid.
They are, because this one freed us up to continue that rally last week. But I do think we're going to stall somewhere up here. So I think that we have to be very careful as we're approaching that 2000 level. I'm going to write down 2000 and 2017 as resistance in gold. Bullish. 2000, 2017. Support is going to be right now at 1955. Then below that is 19.25. So that's ultimate big kahuna support, right? I just call it 1920. So 1920, big support. Then what was the other support? I'm sorry, 1955. Okay. All right, so there's your bias chart. It is finito, done, right? It's pretty directional, and you guys know that the yen does its own thing. So, I'm not, this is not, the yen doing its own thing right here is totally normal. But everything else, I think we've got it nailed down. All right, so Stelios, good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we're finished
Blake, if you wanna take a break, I can take the screen and I can talk for 10-15 minutes. So it's up to you.
How about you can take the last 10 minutes? I'll just how about we do a little bit of banter. So how do you feel about this cable up here?
I've been talking to a few friends about it. They keep asking me, what do you think about the pound? I said, look, I've said this for a while that I want to sell euro pound for at around 92, 93 if we get there. I think this move, we didn't get any developments or any data. I mean, we had manufacturing PMI exactly in line with expectations. So I think it's just flow driven. And obviously cable is driven by the dollar a lot more. Actually, I think it's solely driven by the dollar at the moment.
Yeah.
And we are at huge weekly resistance. I think you showed it before on cable. So, in the Forex Analytics platform, for people who are members, I have been bullish cable. I've gone neutral just a couple of days ago. And I think we are now at risk of I know it sounds like heresy to say, but I think we are at a risk of a dollar turn, and that will take cable lower. And given the level that we're at in cable, I think it's probably one of the riskiest. There you go. That's a chart I had drawn some weeks ago, and we have got there now. And I think we're at risk of a reversal. Having said that, the UK, the big risk with the sterling and the UK is that we get some kind of news out of Brexit and the negotiations, which have to be finalized within the next couple of months. Even though the deadline is in December 31st, they have to be finalized now so that they can get ratified, implemented, and prepare for January 1st. So that's my view on cable, and it will depend on the dollar, and as a result, it will depend on equities, because the dollar, I don't think, is going to turn unless equities turn, or vice versa. They both affect each other.
Right.
What do you think the chances are still of no deal?
I think it's probably 50-50. I still think they're going to reach some kind of deal, but I think it's 50-50, and the market's pricing probably more than 50-50 now of a
Yeah.
no deal. Because if you remember, before the referendum, before all that, we were a lot higher in sterling. So
Yeah, that's true.
it was what was it before? Well, anyway, we've gone a lot lower. So I think the market's pricing 50-50, maybe more. I think the probabilities is probably about right, but I do think they will reach some kind of crappy deal, good deal, I don't know, but they're going to do something. Same with US and China, same with pretty much everything. They do the talk, they do the negotiations, they ask for stuff, the other sides ask for other stuff, and then they find some kind of compromise. And remember, for the European Union, they're losing a huge chunk of their economy. The second biggest economy with France is going the UK, so they want to keep as much, theoretically, as many ties as they can with them. Obviously, they also want to show other countries that, look, you're not going to be leaving just like that without big damage happening to you.
Right.
But the UK is not, say, Greece or Portugal. I'm sure they would be a lot less lenient with smaller countries. But how dare they? Yeah, Nikita, I agree.
Yeah. So
And
could this no deal be worse for Europe than for the UK?
I don't think it can be worse, but the markets just keep thinking, oh my God, it's going to be a total disaster for the UK, and Europe, meh, it's going to be okay. I doubt that. I think it's going to be a no deal is going to be bad news for both sides.
Okay.
And obviously maybe a little bit more for the UK, but think about what's happened to the UK's to the pound. We've already priced in quite a bit of bad stuff. So, I just think risk reward, especially if we get the euro pound at 92, 93, I think it's a great short. Maybe a lot of people have been looking at that level and we didn't quite get there. So
No, I mean we well, we got to 92 on the rally, but that was back in June. I mean, now I think you're going to be very lucky if we get back to 90 pence, right? So
yeah.
I mean, you have to get all the way back up there before it's attractive. That doesn't mean it won't go down from current levels. I just think that the euro sterling's at some pretty key, what could be like pretty key channel support at this point. So
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, one last thing, stocks continue to grind higher. One last thing I'm going to ask before I let you take over. Stocks continue to grind higher. How do you feel about equities where they're currently at? Or, I've seen a lot of people now are starting to look at that megaphone pattern. They're starting to, I see it on FinTwit, financial Twitter. People are now starting to reference that big megaphone pattern now. I think Raoul Paul over at Real Vision just tweeted about it. So I had one guy from one of the analysts that I follow. He sent it over via email to all of his clients today, and I'm like, okay, everybody's aware of it. Which unfortunately, when everybody's aware of it, it could be an inflection point, or we're just going to blow right through it. So
Yes.
How do you feel about the S&P where we're currently at?
Well, my view on asset classes in general is, if I don't feel good about something, I just don't participate, and I don't have to have a position in everything. So for me, equities are way overvalued. You look at things like Tesla. I mean, it's insane. And believe it or not, stocks like Tesla are driving the market. It's one of the 5 or 6 stocks that are driving the market. So at the moment, I don't get why we're up here. That's why I don't have a position, and I'm not. I don't mind saying I've missed this move. I have. And if we go another 10, 15% higher, I will have missed that as well. So be it. I always like to put on trades which are good risk reward with a longer time frame. I'll give you an example. My portfolio that I trade, my family portfolio, we went flat equities back in October or November of last year, October, I think. And I was just waiting because I thought we were overvalued. Economies were looking like they're going to turn lower. And I was waiting for a trigger. And it happened in March. So four months later, it happened. when the S&P was around 2,400, 2,450, I got long a number of stocks, about 25% of my portfolio. It's always not enough when you get the trade right.
Yeah.
And when the S&P hit around 2,900, I just unloaded everything. I said, yes, nice, good trade. And my bias turned to kind of neutral to bearish after that, after 3,000. I said, look, my bias is bearish. I'm only going to be playing equities on the short side, but I'm not getting ahead of this train. So I have missed this move. End of story. I still think we will get one more leg lower. I've been saying this. When will this be? How deep will it be? I don't know, obviously, but I just don't like to get long up here at these levels. It's just the way I trade. So if I've missed this, I'm going to concentrate on other asset classes. I've been saying this. I got silver. I got a nice trade on silver on Norway. I'm going to look at oil. I'm going to look at everything. Stocks at the moment, I have none. So, and I will continue to be like this until we see some kind of correction, or until something happens that makes me change my bias. And my bias is not bullish at the moment.
All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So, Stelios, I'm going to let you take over for the last 10, and coach, you guys. I just want to say thank you all for tuning in, and remember, if you want to try to get Forex Analytics for free for a period of time, make sure you visit our Forex sponsored page. If you open a Pepperstone trading account, if you're outside of the US or Canada, it's a live trading account and you do some trades in there, you might be able to get Forex Analytics for free and join our community for free for a period of time. If you're in the US and Canada, you could also visit Forest Park FX so you can get cashback rebates. So make sure you do that. Stelios, coach, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Have a good one, Blake.
I just want to point out, people have to use the link that we have on our page there to be eligible for the Pepperstone offer. It's right down there.
We have to manually do that, right?
Yes, that's correct. So right at the bottom, there's a button that says join or something like that. I can't remember. And you have to use that one. It's further down. There you go, the green button. Okay, great. So I'll take the screen from here. Continue. Desktop 1, share, and I think we're here. We have a couple of people asking, one of our friends is saying, the S&P is going to be at 5,000 in 5 years' time. I think we're going to be a lot higher 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now, simply because of inflation and the definition of inflation, which is the increase in monetary supply. So that I agree with. I just think that we're going to get an opportunity to get long at better levels. And another one of our friends is asking, where would I get look to get long? I think anywhere between in the S&P, 2,700 is my target. I know it sounds like a million miles from here, but we've seen crazier things happen. Remember March, so I'm going to be waiting patiently for that, and I'm going to reconsider as we get more information.
Del, can I just add something with your, transparent description of what you did in equities? Many people wished they had been out of that COVID crash. Many people were afraid to buy it after the COVID crash, which you did. And, you can't expect perfection at the crap table, but I don't think you really missed anything except the COVID crash. And I think you can't expect perfection at the crap table. How about that?
Well, I don't think anybody can get everything right. It's
every turn and ride it to the high and get out at the top and short it and ride it to the low and then buy the bottom.
Yeah,
come on.
No, I agree. I mean, there are people. I have a couple of friends who got long in March and April and are still long, and they've done very well. But it's
not easy to hold into parabolic advances.
It depends on the amount of risk you want to take, and it depends on the conviction that you have. Like, for example, my silver trade, I let go most of my trade. I still have a quarter left at 40-50%, and it's very difficult. You're up 10-15%. You're saying, "Oh my God, I have to take the profits." Right? I remember when I first joined on my first trading job in London in an investment bank. My boss at the time said to me, "Trading is one of the hardest jobs in the world because you're hardwired to do the opposite of what you should be doing, and you should be letting your profits run, and you should be taking your stops quickly, and you're hardwired to do it the other way around. So you have to overcome your natural bias, which is, it's hard to do.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, everybody's working on it. And guys, I mean, we're all learning every single day. I say this on the chat room to the people who are there, and I learn from everybody. And you have to be open. You have to be open to change and to try to get better every single day. So we covered a few things. The Dixie is one that I'm watching. This is a very important trend line which has been broken. I had drawn this arrow. I thought we would see some kind of a bounce, maybe, which would coincide with the second wave of COVID. Well, the second wave slowly is materializing, but the dollar is not finding any strength at all. The next level is probably the lows at 88 and a bit from 2018. But I do think that being short dollar has been a very good trade. But at this level here, these levels here, it's like you're risking a lot to gain a little, in my opinion. So the risk reward I don't like. That's why I don't have a position in dollars either. I am short. Still short Euro Norway. I don't know if I've done no analysis on this. Actually, no, very little. And I'm gonna take some profits. I've taken some profits already. I added some on, not obviously not at the top, but I added some on the spike. I've taken some profits already. I'm going to take some more when we get to around 10, which is not that far away, or 10, maybe 10, 15, so a little bit above, because you know how zones work. When people look at them, they might not reach there. So, I'm slowly taking some profits there as well. And, the main other asset classes, the main other asset class moving is really precious metals. And it's amazing how they have moved quite technically. So we had the COVID crash, and then we just flew past the 1800, past all-time highs, and then we just came back, retested these previous highs from 2011. It was really perfect, and actually we did break below as well, so that caught a few people off guard, and we're just going again. And same thing with silver. You have these quite clear zones, and we just blew out on the upside, and then we've come back, retested here for a couple of days. This is a weekly chart. So for a few days, we were just going sideways here, and now we've just gone back again. And my last quarter, I'm probably going to look around 33 to let go of that. And at that point, if we get there, I think we should see some kind of move lower. Nothing goes up in a straight line. I mean, we did in 2010, 2011, but then we had a nice correction. I would love to see 20 to 21. 21 here would be perfect to get long again. I know that looks like a long way away, but as I said before, we've seen stranger things happen. And the other interesting one is oil, where again we have a little zone that I had noted before, and look, we are just coming into this zone and just flatlining, slowly losing momentum. And we again, I think oil is going to go higher eventually, but if we do get a risk-off move, oil is definitely going to play some of the games it played in March, April, May. So that's my view on oil. And equities we talked about. What else is there to say? We have another minute left. Are there any questions maybe, or what other currencies can we have a look at? Actually, the yen is an interesting one, because there I had this trend line drawn. We went above. I did say here on Face, look, be careful. This might be a false break. If it does turn out to be a false break, we're going to be testing these lows at 104, 105, and well, here we are. So these markets are very choppy at the moment. We have to risk assets have to make a decision. Are we going to just go towards the moon, or are we going to have a leg lower? The yen does follow risk a little bit, although lately it's been it's been coiling sideways. You can see it. This is a very, quite a short, quite a tight range for the yen at least. So again, this is another that I'm looking at. I'm going to be definitely looking for a break higher if it does stick, or if we take out these lows, then I think we're going below 100. We're going to go to these 99, 100 here. So, and that's pretty much it from me. There's not that much more happening. Unfortunately, the markets have been relatively quiet. It's only equities that are grinding higher and the dollar grinds lower, and metals obviously flying, and that's been it for now. So I don't have a lot more
Nice
constructive
looks.
things to say. Thank you.
Nice looks, Stel. I love your macro work, and
It's simple.
yeah,
That's why I like it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Forrest Gump trading. So I'm not sure our guest is here. Jake from TrendSpider, if you're here, can you put something in the chat? Otherwise, Stel will just wrap the session. Kind of unusual because Jake is very reliable and loves to promote his charts, but something's
Okay,
going
well,
on. So
it's okay. It happens to everybody.
So why don't we wrap it and thank everyone for being with us, and see, like right now, if you were a member of our community, I know you guys have questions. You want DAX, you want Aussie yen, you want everything. You could be in the members chat and get Blake's opinion during the market, because face normally ends anyway. So, I think we provide a lot of value for free. So if it's helping you, invest in yourself and join. It's an investment in you and your trading career. It's not, your $80, $100. Oh, he does? Okay, well, he's wrong. And I did promo it, Joe. So yeah. So you're investing in yourself, 80 bucks a month, 100 bucks a month isn't going to change our destiny, but you know what? It could change yours. And
Absolutely.
so with that being said, remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. You could just shut it down since you have control still, and talk to you later or tomorrow. Thanks for helping out today, brother.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, everyone. Good hunting. You could shut it down, bro.